Your technique is fake. Patty cake. It doesn't work. It could never work in reality. Your opponent lets you do those things to him in slow motion. He's compliant. Show me proof it works in real sparring. There you go.
Alright, excuse my sarcastic tone of voice, but anytime anyone posts an instructional video, it opens a can of worms, the species of keyboard warrior worms to be exact. And I decided to make a video for them, for I'm a big-hearted dude and don't want them feeling neglected. They wanted to see me do some sparring with Wing Chun, and this is the first of many videos in the Wing Chun Tested series. If you're new, welcome to the Personal Combat Show, where we discuss what works or doesn't work in martial arts. This is the place where you learn tools, strategies and tactics that make you combat ready. In this particular case, we will see how combat ready my Wing Chun is.
It's Damien Pro Salendis, and today I will show you some Wing Chun applications in light sparring.
For this purpose, I met with Dimitris, who is a third-degree black belt in a Korean system that's a derivative of Tae Kwon Do, with heavy influence from karate and Hapkido. But it's essentially Tae Kwon Do in application, due to its heavy emphasis in kicking. For the sake of simplicity, I will refer to it with that name in this video. Back when I was 17 years old, I had trained in that system for about a year. With the kicking technique I developed from it, I won the gold medal in the National Kickboxing Championship of Greece, organized by the Pan-Hellenic Kickboxing Association. Yet, Dimitris could easily whoop my ass back then. He had been training in it for 13 years, since he was 5 years old. He had also competed in European kickboxing championships in Italy and has dozens of amateur kickboxing fights. After I started Wing Chun, I told Dimitris about my new system. We were both very interested to figure out what would happen between us in sparring. The rules were that I would try to use Wing Chun as much as possible, although you will see that my stance and movement is a mix influenced by both Wing Chun and my previous training in kickboxing and Tae Kwon Do.
However, I do not pose as a self-proclaimed master or expert in it. In traditional Wing Chun, I'm only 3rd level out of 10. That's like not even intermediate. I'm still improving. Last but not least, don't expect to see absolute perfection in executing everything. When did you see an absolutely perfect fight? I'm putting myself out there, testing my skills under pressure. This is something most Wing Chun practitioners don't do.
Tricep. That tricep.
Pay attention, guys! Pay attention to detail!
Pressure testing of my abilities is the main purpose of this. With these sparring videos, I want to show you what's possible over time by pushing my own limits, accomplishing crazy things and inspiring you to do the same. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Θέλω να δω αίμα να κυλάει. Πάμε. Two minutes and counting. Πάμε. Se está abrindo.
He tries to gauge distance with a left and strike with a low kick. No damage taken here, and I was quick to move into counter-attacking. He backed off, but my goal wasn't just to hit him, rather than to put pressure on him. That pressure led to me finding an opening and striking the chin. It's not clearly visible from this camera angle, but this straight right went straight to his chin. He jabs and I immediately use Pak Sao, headed to his blind side, which as you can see leaves him vulnerable for a KO strike. Now my intention here was not to give him a knockout strike, so I didn't follow through with anything. Here I could have grabbed him and knocked him out with a right knee, if it were a kickboxing fight. If it were a street fight, grab and sweep with a rear leg. Since we were sparring lightly, I chose to use light straight blows. If it were a ring fight, it would have probably ended here, or at least he would have taken some serious damage. At this point, he had realized it would be very hard for him to breach my defense. So for the rest of the sparring, he put no pressure on me, or little pressure. I had to constantly chase him though. Bong Sao, Lap Sao, strike. Basing Wing Chun sequence. Nothing really happened here, because the gloves don't allow you to grab. So the Lap Sao's utility changes from a grabbing movement to a clearing movement. Still, I had opened him up and he received a straight right to the head afterwards. I keep putting pressure on him. He parries my straight right and counters with a right of his own, which is rendered useless as it falls on my Wu Sao hand. Another opportunity for a knockout here, with a knee, kick to the head or body, or hooks and uppercuts. But as you can see, I back off intentionally to relieve him of the pressure. As I said in the beginning, we were not trying to kill each other. He tries to maintain his distance with the left, but as soon as he retrieves his hand, I put pressure on him and strike.
Dame.
He explains to me how the fighter who dominates the center forces the opponent to do circles around him. All that movement eventually tires him out. Again, I'm using the same combo as before to jam, clear and strike. Bonks out, or laps out on straight punch. You might wonder why I keep using the same thing. Well, in a previous martial arts video in this channel, I explained this movement, and many people commented that it would never be applicable in full speed. But here we are, and I've used it multiple times already effectively. He advises that I use low kicks a little bit more. I'm not fond of them, because a proper defense with a shin would fuck you up, not just because of the pain of the counter, but it could also lead to serious damage like a broken leg, as we saw in Anderson Silva's case. A serious injury which ended his fighting career. No thanks. Yet I acknowledge their power, and I occasionally use them as finishing blows to kneel my opponent at the time when I know it's unlikely for my opponent to counter because I've put him under big pressure. He was trying to use his front leg to keep me at a distance. I leveraged with forward pressure while his balance was with one leg. While he was trying to recover his balance, I struck his face with a straight jolt. He uses low kicks a lot. In my opinion, the best counter to a low kick, or any kick for that matter, is a punch. Listen, when you're at a kicking distance, your kicks can't reach the opponent, whilst the punch can't. The same applies to him. If you close the distance when he's kicking, a lot of interesting things happen. 1. The power of his kick is weakened. That's because the power is concentrated at the edge of the impact weapon, like a whip. The strength is at the edge, not at the handle. Number 2. His balance is compromised. He's momentarily standing on one leg. A simple push can throw him to the ground. 3. You surprise him with your hands, which can now reach his face after you've closed the distance. The result is this: an uncomfortable straight jolt to the face. Obviously, yes, there is a caveat to that. If you don't see the kick coming, or if you're too slow to react, if you can't close the distance at the proper time, the kick will destroy you. He tries to keep me away from him with a push kick to the thigh and then another one to the body. But again, I'm closing distance, My grounded stance and my momentum causes the laws of his balance. This could have been another potential knockout point. See here, for example, how easy it would have been to grab him and attempt to end this with a jumping knee. He strikes back and I move my head to evade his left hand. He puts pressure back on me, but none of his strikes land. Just fooling around here. Again, I'm using the bong sao, lap sao, straight punch combo to show you that it works with the MMA gloves too. You can see a very clean, almost perfect bong sao here. That's a pure Wing Chun signature move. It puzzles me when I hear that Wing Chun doesn't work in the MMA. The truth is that Wing Chun practitioners as a whole don't fight professionally. It's significantly underrepresented in the octagon, that's true, but that's for reasons that are best to analyze in another video. But damn sure works.
Like, holy shit, he just used Wing Chun inside the cage. Like, it works. Like, if you really know your shit.
Here you can see another signature move of traditional Wing Chun. That is pinning and controlling the elbow with a pak sao or lap sao. What occurred after I wasn't expecting at all, because none of us knows ground fighting, but he chose to lead the fight to the ground. Alright, we stopped though, for the very reason that none of us has any legitimate training on the ground. Okay, here is another signature move of traditional Wing Chun. This is a move that's very rarely used. It's a quite advanced move, so that's why you don't see it often, especially in practical application. Lan sao, lap sao, straight punch. I'm gonna get very technical here, so bear with me for a second. In William Chang's traditional Wing Chun, a lan sao is a tan sao that moves to the center. It's the exact same shape as a tan sao, but unlike the tan, it comes from outside the center line towards the center line. It's different from the lan sao that other lineages have. Here you cannot see what's happening with the legs due to the camera angle, but I just delivered a very nasty Wing Chun kick to the thigh. A variation of it has been occasionally used in the UFC by Jon Jones, which was coined the term oblique kick. Its use was reprimanded by many fighters who thought of it as extremely dangerous and requested that it be banned from the UFC. Jon Jones hasn't been trained in Wing Chun, so he does it differently. And that's also because that kick is not inherent to Wing Chun. You can also see it in Savate, for example. However, the Wing Chun way of executing it is different from Savate's. Jones hasn't trained in Wing Chun as far as I know, so he does it differently, more closely to how Savate fighters do it. But it's a very nasty, dangerous kick anyway. He says, "Motherfucker, back when I won the kickboxing championship, he used to kick my ass in sparring. But back then, I had only trained in Hwal Moo Do and kickboxing. I didn't know any Wing Chun." He told me the day after the fight. Truth to be told, with the way you used your hands yesterday, with that style, I couldn't counterattack, neither defend myself nor put pressure on you. This just proves to me that good Wing Chun can be a fighter's unfair advantage.